Hello guys, thanks for joining me today. My name is abovenbeyounddeco, and today on EM 102, Event Management 102, we'll be talking and discussing on the role of an event planner. So the role of an event manager depends on two things, depends on the type of event you're into or you're doing, or second, it depends on your client, the client you're dealing with. So when it comes to the role of an event planner, an architect, when it comes to building construction, an architect lays down the design, the plan for a building, and the other participant follows the plan. This is what an event planner does when it comes to an event. So an event planner designs, lays down the plan for the event, and other vendors and the likes participants that follow through the plan to achieve a successful event. So what are the roles of an event planner, event manager? The role of an event manager, as I once said in my last video, I call it IPEMC square, initiating to closing of an event. Now let's take the first one for example, initiating. Initiating talks about you initiating the plan, the program, initiating after meeting the client, your client, you initiate the plan for the event. Now when it comes to initiating, I'm really talking about the event purpose or the event aim. And when it comes to the event aim or the event purpose, you need to apply the SMART principle. The SMART principle, S-M-A-R-T. S, is it specific? M, is it measurable? A, is it attainable? R, is it relevant? And T, is it time-based? So you need to look into these when it comes to your event objectives and initiating. Then when it comes to planning is where the process whereby you start getting vendors, you start getting locations and all those things to make sure the event is successful. So when it comes to executing is when people are going to the sites, where people are going to the location, to start work, preparing for the D-Day. So when it comes to monitoring is you as an event planner with your team, being on site and making sure everything is going according to plan. That is what I call detail. Looking at everybody's work, all the vendors, checking if they're following through the plan. That is monitoring, just to check if they are working, to check if the event is going to be successful. So when it comes to controlling is organization, coordination during the event. You're controlling the event. The event is time-based, as I once said about the SMART principle, event objective. So it's time-based, so you need to control the event. The people that needs to be at position A needs to be there. You need to see that this thing is going according to plan, and looking at the time also, because an event is an occurrence, that is time-bound. So when it comes to the last one, when it comes to the role of an event manager, the closing is to ensure that everybody gets home safely, everything was done according to plan, and everybody says goodbye, we have a successful event. So that is the role of an event planner. I call it IPEMC square. So taking initiating for example now. So we're breaking it down for you. Meeting with your client. So what are the questions you ask your client the first day as an event planner? You need to be prepared. Just as take for example, you're going for an exam. You need to study and you need to prepare yourself. Probably these are the likely questions I might face during this exam, in the exam hall. So when it comes to meeting your client, the first question is your client meeting with you in your place of work, or are you meeting your client in a place of work, or are you meeting at a particular place, maybe a restaurant, a cafe, or the likes? Do you get what I'm trying to say? You need to agree on where you're meeting, and where you're meeting needs to be conducive, comfortable. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You need to be relaxed. No, you don't try to pick a location whereby people will be disturbing you guys, or you need concentration. So when it comes to meeting your client, you need to start asking. The first question you ask is not even simple. Ask about the date. You need to ask and talk to your client as if you're not in a rush. Please, what's the date? What's this? No. You need to make her feel comfortable. You need to calm her down. You need to assure her that the event, we're taking wedding for example now, using the wedding as a scenario. So you need to calm her down. Then you need to ask the couple. If, for example, you need to ask the couple about their idea of their dream wedding. Most couple, they have this kind of idea. I want my wedding to be like this. I want this. I want that. So you need to ask their idea about for their wedding, because it is not your wedding, my sister. It is not your wedding, my brother, my planner. It's their wedding. So you need to help them to achieve their dreams. So once you ask them this, what kind of a wedding do you have in mind? And if they don't have, that's when you sell your own idea in terms of wedding themes. How the wedding is going to look like, stuff like this. Do you want this? Do you want a music themed wedding? Do you want a movie themed wedding? Stuff like that. Then after that, then you ask the date. The date is very important, when it comes to date. Some people might just pick date, not knowing maybe it's going to fall into the election day, thereabouts in an environment. Do you get? But one thing too you need to know is it a Nikai wedding? Is it a church wedding? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Now you need to ask the type of wedding they want. Then you ask the bride location. Location is key. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Location is key because if you're in an environment, let's take New York for example, busy schedule, busy traffic whatsoever. Or we might take Lagos for example too, very busy traffic and stuff like that. It's not in news. We already know that there's a lot of traffic in Lagos. And if also you're taking maybe Ibadan for example, we don't really have much traffic in that place, in that environment. Or we're taking Benin for example, we're taking the northern part of Nigeria for example. So you need to ask the bride location where the event is going to take place. So asking the bride location gives you an idea into the kind of event you're about planning. And once you've done that, you ask about the type of wedding, as I once said, location and stuff like that. Church, that's about church. Is in the Kai, so is she going to have the reception and the church the same date? So that will help you to know how to select a venue and the stuff like that. Then you ask that she want or the couple they want indoor or outdoor wedding. So that's another question to ask. This question is just trying to help you narrow down to the vendors, the location, the hall, some of the things you're going to need as an event planner. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So the next question you need to ask is guest expected, because you need to plan the event according to the guest you're expecting. Is it 300? Is it 1,000? Is it 2,500? Is it 3,000 or 4,000 guests? So once the clients you're dealing with are able to give you the guests they are expecting for their event, then by now you will know the kind of hall, the type of hall, how big the hall is going to be, depending on their location of wedding. And sometimes some people want the destination wedding in case they want to travel out to go do their wedding in a foreign land. Do you get what I'm trying to say now? So after that, you know the guests expected now. And the next thing is talk about the high V. Because if you're printing the high V, let them know that one IV, if it's a strictly by IV invitation wedding, then you will be able to detail the guests coming. Do you get what I'm trying to say now? But if it's a normal wedding and the normal thing we used to have in some areas that they don't really have the exact stuff, they just tell you we are printing IV of maybe 500, 600. Now if you're printing IV invitation card of 500, just know that one invitation card will invite at least 3 to 4 in the family. Because the kind of event we have there, you will sit down, they will bring their children. If they have like 4 or 5 with the parents, they are already 6 on the table, stuff like. So if you're having 500 invitation card being printed, so you should have in your mind that the capacity of the hall needs to be able to take should be able to take maybe 1.5. Do you get what I'm trying to say now? So you need to plan for excess. So after the high V, or if it's strictly by high V, it goes straight. So the next question you need to ask, based on the guest capacity and some that are coming and be strictly by high V, you need to ask about hotel reservation. For the couple, you need to ask about hotel reservation for some of the guests coming. So the event planner, you need to have all those ask those stuff and have those details. Then the next thing again, you need to ask about the car that will be needed in case they need cars, so you can easily rent for them. Then again, you need to ask about the wedding dress and the likes, stuff like that. Ask about the color code, what colors are they picking for the day, what combination. You need to advise them too on that, about color. And then and after that, you ask about the wedding dress and stuff like that. But you should know that sometimes some of these clients you're dealing with, they have a vendor in mind already. That's why sometimes when you go to an event, you see like 3 vendors doing the same thing. Take for example, photography. You can see like almost 3 different photographers in an event, because the bride wants somebody that she knows very well to take a picture. Then you as an event planner, you don't really know the person, but you want a successful event and you know someone that you can vouch for, so you bring the person on board, stuff like that. So you need to ask questions too before you go ahead when it comes to event planning. So that's it's about meeting your client. Just had a question you need to ask. And if it's a corporate event, take for example, so you need to ask about them, about event marketing, in case you want to market the event, event branding and stuff like that. You need to do all those stuff. You need to ask them. You need to be prepared. Are they branding this event? You need to have a market the event through different platforms online. Meeting people and stuff like that. That's another event. I said last week that we have 2 types of events: social. We have the corporate event. Sometimes you might see some people, they might tell you we have what we call educative event. We have what we call ceremony event. We have what we call promotion event. Stuff like what they're just trying to tell you is this: educative event is the part of the corporate when it comes to conferences. Promotion event is still talking about maybe fashion and stuff like that. You want to showcase your work. You can still summarize these into the 2 types of events: social and corporate event. So I think meeting your clients is the key, is the first thing. So this will help you narrow down. So also you need to ask your client about their budget. It's also one key that you must not forget. Do they have a budget on ground? Are you planning according to their budget, or you just give them the budget that will make this event successful and they are ready to pay? So budget is very important. You need to plan according to their budget, or you tell them the budget. So when it comes to this budgeting aspect, when I'm talking about charges, how to charge your clients, I will still talk about even the budgeting, because sometimes you can charge your own pay based on the budget, and sometimes you might charge based on flat fee. So after these meeting clients and the likes, the next thing is to get your team on board. And once you get your team on board, team building I call it, then you start selection of vendors. How do you select vendors? You need to select the right vendors. So what are the vendors needed for an event? Let's take a wedding. For example, you need a cinematographer, you need a photographer, you need a decorator, you need lightning and the lights. You can even tell your decorator to handle that for you when it comes to effects and stuff like that. You need sound, the band guides when it comes to music. You need a DJ when it comes to music. You need likewise when it comes to music too. You can also ask the couple what kind of song they are really interested in, that they really want to listen to, stuff like that. You need to narrow it down. You also need to get a cake baker. You need to get someone that will handle the catering services and the likes. You need to get security personnel. You need to get ushers and protocols. You need to get all these things. I will be uploading some of the itineraries and stuff like that I designed, so you'll be able to see some of the vendors needed for each event, a corporate event and a social event. So you don't need to stress yourself about that. One thing you need to know is this: an elegant wedding will always be remembered for the coordination. So you need to take this into consideration when it comes to an event. After everything is done, you have a good event. 3 things are very important: the wedding location with decoration, 2, the wedding photography and cinematography, because these are the things people will see after the event has taken place. Do you get the wedding dress? Because these 3 things: the wedding dress, the the wedding cinematography and photography, and the wedding location. These are the things that showcase the beauty of an event. So if these three things I mentioned are not really taken into consideration very well, you might have a good event, but the output, when people see it, will be wow, will not be dope. So you need to take this into consideration. Thank you, and see you on Event Management 103. We'll be discussing maybe the outreach charge and still discussing about the floor plan and the lay down stuff. I really want to the floor plan and some other things. See you some other time.